What do you believe are the first steps in eventually convincing the King's board to divest? Liam, we're going to start with you.
Okay. Personally, I don't really know enough about the issue, I think, to talk about it in an educated way, but I would say that because of that, one of the first steps would be, personally for me, just doing more research and talking to the people who are most involved in the cause right now. Obviously, student support for something is really important, so part of that is talking to the students about it, getting people to kind of talk to the people who are involved in these decisions and say, this is what we want, and also gathering a lot of research about it to make sure that it's like, you position it in a way that, to the board, that it's a good decision for them.
Thank you.
So this isn't something that I've specifically considered yet in my thinking about becoming a representative on the Board of Governors, but I 100% support divesting from fossil fuels at the level of the university, and I think that what I would do is I'm really impressed by the degree of organization shown by Divest DAO. I joined with a couple of their actions last year, sitting in a board meeting, like having signs waved when people were discussing the issue. I think that I would, I'm pretty, I find the way that they've been speaking about this issue to be pretty convincing. It's as kind of, my understanding is that it's kind of a declaration of a political point of view, and it's associated with, this is our money that we're paying into this university, and is it being spent in an ethical way? If it's being spent in fossil fuels, I believe it's not. In terms of moving towards this with the board, I think that open board meetings is one thing that has been pretty impressive. Seeing Divest DAO, they're able to go into board meetings and kind of silently have their voices heard, standing up with signs and so on. And I think that as a Board of Governors representative, it would be I would want to sort of make the best case for this issue. I understand that divestment from fossil fuels is not a view shared by everybody. It's my personal view, and it's the view that I intend to argue on behalf of on the Board of Governors. If there are people that disagree with me on that, I really welcome you to send me a message through Facebook, comment on this on the social media, come to me in person, or I have office hours. I'm confident that most of the student body is going to agree that this is an important issue, though. But I'd love to hear your concerns.
Thank you. We now open up to questions to the humans in the room.
You're both white, and so is Aiden, and she's going to be the third rep on the board. How do you represent racialized students without speaking for them?
We're going to start with Karen this time.
So that's a really difficult issue. I acknowledge I come from a place of a lot of privilege, being white, being a man, being cisgender, among many other things. And I want to, I try in my personal life to confront racist patterns of belief and actions that I have, to try and unlearn some of this racism in our, that's promulgated in our society. I would be taking, I try and take first steps on that myself. In the case that anybody believes I'm not doing a good job of that, or if they have particular concerns that have fallen outside of my gaze because they don't affect me as a white person, I really encourage you to speak to me. I want to work as hard as I can to represent racialized students at the level of the board. Yeah.
That's a great question, and I think that it's it's really interesting because it's really easy to say, go in and say like, I've spoken to them so and so and so and so, and they've said this, and they're coming from this perspective, and it's really hard to take away that privilege that you have and say, oh, well, this is my view on it, and also kind of like, I'm translating what they're saying. I'd actually almost like to see some kind of a training to, I don't know how the logistics of that would work, but for board members, so that we'd be able to kind of like talk about that and talk about ways to speak about these issues so that they're not, it's not just this white conversation and this like male conversation, and etc. It's not a privileged conversation because it shouldn't be a privileged conversation. So definitely that's one of those things that I'm going to have to do more research on. But also I want to, it's got me thinking about it, and I want to look into things like, training for how do we talk about this in a productive way, and how do I kind of get those voices integrated without it just being like a lot of privilege and not a lot of,
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions?